Thank you, Jacob. That was Audrey's first grandchild, and with a song that he created. This service is going to be a little different than any other funeral you've been to. Firstly, it's unusual to have musical instruments played during a Jewish funeral, but we are not usual or typical. Second of all, there won't be very many traditional readings because Jeff is going to offer a kavanot. Kavanot are intentions or vignettes that are going to set up different themes. Audrey lived 96 and a quarter years, and Jeff has prepared 96 and a quarter vignettes. Oh, you think I'm kidding? So hopefully none of you have any plans for over the weekend. Also during the service, not only will Jeff be speaking, grandchildren from both sides of the family will be speaking, as well as myself. So we would like to begin with Jeff's first.
My mother tells a story that she went to time and they taught her the prayer, Haddasah and thank you, God, for restoring my soul to me when I wake up each morning. So she goes to tell her grandfather Spiegel, that she learned a new prayer, and her grandfather told her, Audrey, don't you know, we've been saying that prayer all the time. You might say it's Modeh Ani, but you learned it as Moediani, with that great Ukrainian accent. Modeh Ani, thank you, God, for restoring my neshama, my soul to me. My mother and I said that quite often, how lucky she was to do that. And I'm putting it with the last prayer that we say in the Adon Olam, B'yado afkid ruchi, into the care of God, I now hand my soul. So in the next hour, or as Sarah says, next 3 days, we'll be talking about that wonderful soul, that terrific soul. And here's the Modeh Ani. Ishmati, that soul, the Chemla, Papa. Yati Adonai li, Adonai li, Elohim ira. Thank you all for coming. I wrote something down, but I just wanted to share, I guess, a couple things first before I read. My nanny was a very special person to me. Being the most troubled grandson, I got the most attention. So she cared for me deeply, and me and her, and I have so many memories, you know, from crackling oat bran, her house to her sweet and sour tongue stew that I know you love too. Um, to riding the clouds at Oakland Glen, watching her and my mother's relationship. There's so many things that flood through my mind. And then later to all the visits to Ascot Bend in Florida, to fishing with Sid and him hooking his foot, and the panic that's struck in, and him almost falling into the water. She just was she was very special. And, I had a healthy fear, of her, because I always wanted to be, looked at as high as I held her, as she just demanded so much respect. Anyway, so we gathered here today to honor and celebrate the life of an extraordinary woman, my nanny. She graced us in this world for 96 remarkable years. She was more than just a grandmother. She was the matriarch of our family, a beacon of strength, grace, and unwavering faith. Classy is a word that scarcely does her justice. She was the epitome of elegance, not just in her appearance, but in the way she lived her life. Her strength was unparalleled. The trait honed through the trials that she faced, the loss of her parents, two husbands, her son, her siblings. Despite these immense hardships, she maintained a balance in her emotions and a profound understanding of life that I've always admired and strived for in my own life. Her mental resilience was something to behold. Where many might falter, she stood firm, a testament to the power of a well-grounded spirit. I often found solace in her words and actions, especially when my own balance seemed to waver. She was a great grandmother to my 4 daughters, my brother's daughters, and cousins' daughters. And she adored them, all of her great grandkids on both sides. Their mutual love was a beautiful thing to witness. Just last night, my mother sent me a video of her doing patty cake with one of the twins. I have twins. I have 4 daughters, but my last 2 were twins. She was over doing patty cake and watching this video, and she's going, "Oh my God, this one's so sweet, and the other one's hilarious." And I was laughing. I couldn't. She's right. The other one is still hilarious. They never missed a chance to FaceTime you. Moments that now seem too few in hindsight.
Her presence in their lives was a gift, one that they will cherish forever. Her faith was the cornerstone of her life, unshakable and pure. It guided her actions in her kindness and her generosity. She was non-judgmental, thank God. Thank God for me. A rare and precious trait, always accepting us as we were, flaws and all. She was incredibly giving, sharing the gifts that she received in her life with others. My nanny was truly one of a kind, a role model in every sense of the word. I feel profoundly blessed to have had 40 years with her, years filled with her guidance, support, and understanding. Her impact on my life and the lives of those who knew her is immeasurable. As we say goodbye today, let us not remember her in sorrow, but with gratitude for the incredible legacy that she left behind. Her life was a testament to resilience, love, and faith. She will be missed, but her spirit will live on in our hearts and memories. Thank you, Nanny, for everything. We love you, and we will carry your lessons with us always.
By her chair in her apartment, she has all the pictures of her family. Her grandparents, her parents, brother and sister, Dad and Sid, all the Eisenstat, Fendricks, Spiegels, Kaufmans, Freemans, Leftwitzes, Robs, Czechs, Messengers, nieces, nephews, grandkids, great-grandkids. She would look at them hundreds of times a day and talk about them all the time. But to this day, she couldn't tell Ella from Grace, the two twins. My mom, youthful and fun, full of laughter, joy of life. She was a Girl Scout leader, a den leader. I think, where's Mike? I think she was our den leader with your mother. She taught us how to fish, how to explore, to love animals. She took us to the zoo 3 to 5 times a week. Okay, we lived a half a block away. Tilly the elephant knew her by name. In the 1960s, Pepsi started distributing A&W. I thought it was Audrey and Wally. Mom and Dad were such a great team. Pepsi was really important to them. And oh, how my father really loved to have my mother at all the conventions, because my mother remembered everybody's name, where they were, what they were doing, what their kids' names were. And of course, that effervescence that Audrey had was beyond recall. And all the bottlers knew her. And there's one picture that she has with she and Joan Crawford, who was a Pepsi-Cola person. My mother was much more beautiful than Joan. And her personality and smile would outshine any of those stars that were there. Whenever I needed the car, I would go to my mother the night before and said, Mom, I really need the car. Do you think you could say something to Dad? And she said, let me see what I can do. And by the next morning, I had the car, you know? But when Bruce and I would come in after a hard day of work, 8-10 hours, we'd come in, we'd sit on the couch, and we'd cry to Mom and say, you have to say something to Dad. He's working us to death. And my mother would say, you guys have to work that out yourselves. I think for my mother, I would say, Mom, how did you raise Jeff, Bruce, and Debbie? She said, I didn't know what I was doing. She had me when she was 20. Can you think of your lives at 20? Do you think you could? She said, I didn't know what I was doing. And And she tells the story. When I was 2.5 and I would spit, she would slap my face and say, "Don't do that, Jeffrey." When Bruce was 2.5 and he would spit, she would just say, "Don't do that, Bruce." And by the time Debbie was 2.5 and spitting, my mother would say, "It's just a phase." So I think that's something that I haven't been spanked since 1961. I don't know about you, Debbie. When's the last time you were spanked? Last week? I would say to my mother, I said, "Mom, you did, I think, a really good job raising us. But why did you let me quit piano?" And then she would say, "That doesn't bother me as much as the fact that I let you play football." Just a couple of weeks ago, Mom said, "What happened to me? Why am I in this stage?" I said, "Mom, you're 96 years old. The warranty is up. Things are breaking down. I wouldn't buy a car that's 96 years old." And then she turns to me and said, "Yes, but you would buy a guitar that's 96 years old." And then I realized that it's vintage, that she was filled with the beautiful resonance of the best guitar you could find. Her parts were breaking down. The beauty that came from that. The song that Mom liked, we did together. My God, I pray that these things never end. The sand and the sea, the rush of the water, the crash of the heavens, the prayer of the heart, the sand and the sea, the rush of the water, the crash of the heavens, the prayer of the heart.
Hello, everyone. On the other side, as we're referred. I'm on the sitting Gramps side. And I'm one of the 3 grandchildren of Audrey on Gramps' side, or Sid. Mandy was not our grandmother by blood, but she sure was the grandmother that anyone, including my sister Rebecca, my cousin Jenny, your cousin Jenny, would choose. So boy, were we lucky. I remember first hearing about Manny 25 plus years ago. It had been some time after my grandmother, Grammy, had passed away, and I learned that my Gramps had a girlfriend. And her name was Audrey. It was very confusing for a teenager. My grandfather has a girlfriend. She may or may not be related to me. A lot was going through my head. Not soon after hearing about Audrey, I had a baseball team. And I had learned that Gramps and this woman named Audrey would be coming to watch. And the tournament just happened to be at Penn State. So certainly Audrey was on her home court, or in this case, the home baseball field. And after the game ended, I went over to my parents and I saw Gramps and I saw Audrey. And I saw Audrey from afar and I said, "Way to go, Gramps. All right." Way to go. But I was nervous. I was nervous to meet this new woman. And I remember she came up to me and she said, "Hi, nice to meet you." And she gave me this big hug. And that was it for me. I mean, Nanny was the best. And, she was smart. She was so funny. One thing I didn't have in here, but as I was listening to Zach, the thing that I've loved later in life is the phone calls, and I think Jenny and Becca would appreciate this as well. Like when she was done, and that was it. It was all right. That's it. Bye. And I love that. I'm not a talker, so I really appreciated that about her. But Audrey was so dedicated and loyal to her family. And one of the most important traits you would want out of any family member is she was always there. She was there for the good. She was there for the bad. She was at our birthdays, bar and bat mitzvahs, including Gramps' bar mitzvah. She was at engagements, including Mike's engagement at their house. She was at weddings, baby namings, brisses. She created extended and blended family of Eisenstats, Coles, Boros, Sueys, and Mars. She was the mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother. Any child, grandchild, and great-grandchild, whether related by blood or not, could ever want. I speak for Becca, Jenny, and myself, who never once felt like a stepchild. Our children have never once felt like a step great-grandchild. And I like to believe that Nanny felt the same way from us. I remember at my college graduation, we had a dinner with friends, my friends, and all of our families were there, including Gramps and Audrey. And we all went around and introduced some family members. And when it came time to Audrey, I just instinctively said, and this is my grandmother. And afterwards, she came up to me, almost surprised, and said, "Thank you for doing that. You didn't have to do that." And I just remember saying, "But you are my grandmother." And we had a really nice moment. So losing Nanny is not easy for any of us, but the two words that come to me that have just been in my head for the last week is just grateful and lucky. Miriam, you said that in line before, and I completely agree with you. Grateful that we had Nanny so long and that she loved us so much. Lucky that Becca, Mike, Jen, Jenny, and I, including our kids, got the best second grandmother and great grandmother person to ask for. We'll miss you.
So the day my mother died, it was the 34th day in the count of the Omer. Now, my mother would want me to do something rabbinic at this time, so that's why I'm doing this. My wife's not so happy. The 34th day of the Omer for Sephardic Jews is a day of joy. And for the Kabbalists among us, it was Yesod of Hod, the foundation of splendor. Splendor for Nanny is obvious, her beauty inside and out. Yesod is the foundation, the cornerstone, the connector, the person who really has friendship. My mother was a true and ready friend. From her days at Audubon to Temple Israel, Oak to the Polo Club, from Shirenu to Harbor's Edge. Harbor's Edge people, I hope you're here saying they're watching from Florida. The friendships that my mother made were genuine, filled with beauty and splendor, Yesod of Hod.
Teach us to number our days so that we may attain a heart of wisdom. I would like to invite up Rachel.
I've been finding it therapeutic to look at my nanny's Facebook this past week. She had such a vital presence in life, so it's no wonder she's famous for her Facebook presence. There you really get a sense of her spiritedness and humor. Dressing up in a big purple onesie for Halloween at 90, or reposting very random memes about how she makes her bed, or sharing thoughtful posts about justice and peace. What she did most consistently online and offline was share in her pride for all of her friends and family, saying, "Oh, that's wonderful," no matter how small the act. She was always so gracious and generous in her excitement and joy for you, ready to cheer you on and make you feel seen and loved, and then ready to boast about you to the world. She was so proud of herself, and I'm so proud to have her as my nanny. I had the opportunity to visit her this month in Florida. Even in bed, she still sparkled with every smile, opening her eyes to wish me Shabbat Shalom and compliment each other's nail polish. I feel so blessed to share in her light, generosity, humor, and strong genes. I will forever hear her voice saying, "Love you, sweetheart, bye-bye." It's so sad to say goodbye to someone so full of the best parts of life, though I know I get to remember and share with her in every joy yet to come. I love you, Nanny. Bye for now.
Hi, I'm Mari. I'm Sue and Jeff's son and Nanny's grandson. And something I have a 3-year-old. She turns 4 tomorrow. Her name's Story, and she loved to talk to Nanny and was really close. And we had to tell her how Nanny died, and her first thoughts were that she was going to really miss Nanny, and we told her that her spirit's always going to be with us. We'll miss her too, but we're always going to remember her. And we're going to remember her in so many ways, from looking at the moon. For her birthday, lots of family got together and we took pictures, and we shared how we were going to send a digital time capsule of the picture and her DNA to the moon. And so Story loves that. A rocket ship of Nanny going to space. I was with her last week after going to see Ed Dwight, the oldest person to go to space, and I asked Nanny, is she ready? She said, "Sign me up." She was thrilled to get on a rocket. She was up for anything. We'll remember her in the water, from drawbridges to small fishing boats to big cruise boats. When we see a golf course, Pepsi, and even the letter A from her iconic diamond A necklace. But most of all, in her legacy, in this family, and everyone here today, and everyone that's not here. You know, she had so many great grandchildren. To think about having great grandchildren is really special for so many of us. Think about how many people that she has known for 96 years beyond. And has been in my life since she was 60, and really have been blessed to know her for so long. One experience I love to think of in thinking about all the experiences and people that she's known is the story of her in high school, leaving Scranton to go take a bus to go see Frank Sinatra in New York City. It was pretty amazing. And got to sing on guitar one of her favorite songs, Moon River, and the Frank Sinatra version. And I really thought of her, like Frank, being in this big band with all these people, being timeless and once in a generation. Story asked then in our conversation, when will you die? And I said, you know, hopefully, if we all live to 96, a lot more time together. But ultimately, we don't know when we're going to die. And that's why it's so important to live like Nanny. In golf, it's considered a once in a lifetime experience to hit a hole in one, and she had 2 of them. And she really had 2 holes in ones with with Wally and Sid and these two families that we had together. She was so multidimensional in that way. She lived in Pennsylvania and in Florida. She was a world traveler and rooted to her local community. She was a fierce competitor and a really fun teammate. She had grandmotherly sweetness and a witty sarcasm. She had sage wisdom and a youthful spirit. She was a lifelong learner and a loving matriarch, and a doorway of the past and the future. Annie.
Aren't those grandchildren great? My mother was also a life member of Haddasah, and I was really blessed to take 4 trips to Israel with her. On our second trip, we went to the Haddasah hospital because the wall of healing was there, and Bruce's name was up on the wall of healing. Our last trip in Jerusalem was just a couple of years ago. We were there for Yom HaShoah, for the day to remember the Holocaust. We were walking out in the road, and the sirens went off, and everyone stopped. The bus stopped, the car stopped. Everyone just stood in silence. And my mother had cousins her age in 1944 and 45 that perished at Auschwitz. She knew in her heart that shalom, the idea of peace, was important. And 3,000 years ago, when the psalmist wrote about that your children's children would see peace in Jerusalem, even though she wasn't there exactly 3,000 years ago, she knew in her heart that there would not be peace for her children's children to see Israel. Urevanim. Adonai Mitzvot, Shalom
In the beginning of the year and when it ends, when we are weary and in need of strength, when we are lost and sick at heart, when we have joys we yearn to share, we will remember him.
Her father, Jack, taught her that death was an eternal sleep. The Talmud says that it's 1/60th of death. But she wanted to know more. Just a few months ago, she said, "When I see Bruce, will he have 2 legs or 1?" And I said, after I choked back some tears, I said, "Mom, you'll be your best self." And so I said, "Mom, what do you think you'll be like in the Olam Haba, in the world to come? Which decade would you like to be in?" And you know what she said? All of them. From her childhood friends to Rita and Donnie, raising her own kids, her adult life, Wally, children, Sid, grandchildren, all of these things were the best of her. One of the last songs I played with Mom this past Sunday was Lag BaOmer. Lag BaOmer is the only time during the year that you can get your hair cut. Sarah cuts my hair. I went into Mom this past Sunday and said, Mom, I got my hair cut. Sarah did it. She said, good job. Trim your mustache. Lag BaOmer, Shimon Bar Yochai lives in Mount Meron. I took Mom there many years ago, near the mystical city of Tzfat. And over the grave of Shimon Bar Yochai says, Hitfu li Sharei Tzedek, open for me the gates of righteousness. Open the gates
Nanny's legacy is what she passed on. Like, how to tell a Scranton story. 100, no, 1,000, with Grandpa Jack hollering in a lumberjack outfit, cinder blocks propped under his bed, and opera on the roof. Nana May, my namesake, in the walk to school, the football stars she danced with, the young Wally who caught her eye, teaching her the Wally way. How to leave an impression on anyone at any age. Adopt a lightning-fast wit and shake your curls, our curls, Dad's and Debbie's and Jacob's and Zach's and Ben's and Ari's and mine and Rachel, curls as far as the eye can see. How to pretend to speak British, or have an easy laugh, no matter the tragedy, a spirit as light as carbonated Pepsi. To have a one-of-a-kind style, wear aquamarine and turquoise, match every outfit, couch, nail polish, and kitchen appliance. How to light a yard site with pictures of Poppy and Bruce, Uncle Dottie and Aunt Rita, Sid, every possible dog. Cook your family comfort food, even when it's sweet and sour top. How to tell a joke at a funeral, a shiva, for anyone who will listen. Give a toast to a warm room at your 95th birthday party. How to adorn yourself and those around you. In beauty, costume, jewelry, like every day is a fair. Or send oranges, cheese, and wine every winter. Marvel at every wonder and photo, just like my father. Write a card for every birthday. Keep your youth by playing bridge, pretending to learn more Yiddish. Go to every lecture, join the welcome committee, and every movie screening, get a large popcorn, make up swimming. To keep your strength, hold hands with your family with a tight grip right until the end. Ask supportive questions like, how's our business doing, Miriam? Broken heart? This too shall pass. Let's get Italian food or lobster. Vicious gossip with your friend. She was life. She was life every time. Ride horses. Wake up early to go fishing. Have a baby at 20. Travel the whole wide world to buy crazy and practical gifts. Read so fast you forget the title. Sit by the pool while your grandchildren play. And when the cruise starts sinking, go down to the bottom floor casino and gamble right on down with the ship. How to make your granddaughters feel beautiful, marvelous, gorgeous, sensational, a remarkable figure just like hers. No compliment to garish. Bless your grandchildren with soft hands and sweetness, a house full of treasures, and a fishbowl full of butterscotch. How to be grateful for any and all time spent. Repeat, don't be greedy. It's never enough time anyway. How to have joy, enjoy, enjoy. Her joy. It lights up every room, this room even, this room especially. Nanny's legacy is all of us who got to be loved by her and love her for so long. All of us who greet her on the other side. We should all be so lucky.
My mother was resilient. Nothing harder in this world than to bury a child. 1983, when Bruce died, I don't know how she continued. And then again in 1995 and 96, in that 1 year, she mourned her sister, her brother, and her husband Wally. And just 9 years ago, she mourned her beloved Sid. Deep sadness, overwhelming. And yet after mourning, it was time to dance. Go on with life, she would say. In the last couple of years, I would say, Mom, I'm really going to miss you. And she would say, I hope you do, but make sure you get on with your life and enjoy life. I learned that from her. In the Shachar service, in the morning service,
That was a Jeff original. What for grandpa? a beginning and death a destination. Life is a journey, a sacred pilgrimage, made stage by stage, from death to death, to life. This is his last
Hey, Mom's Judaism was her mainstay. She got it from her mother, May, implanted ritual and faith, kindness and virtue. And from her father, Jack, she got wisdom, the ability to question everything. Don't believe everything you read, Grandpa Jack would say. But he also gave her the idea of humanity and nature. Be wild and fun, Jack would say. Get outside and keep your body in shape. My mother was the leader with all of these. And I think she passed it down to Debbie, to Bruce, and to me. And her lesson to me was to pass it down to my kids. So with my wife, Sarah, whose love for my mother was beyond measure, and how she treasured this woman, and how she celebrated every aspect of her life. And how she guided me through this very challenging time. What a blessing my children have been. They constantly shared, and you heard about it, the joy of my mother there. Not just their visits the last 6 months, but their constant calls and visits and travels. Neshama, they've experienced the heart and the soul of Audrey Fendrick Eisenstat Kaufman. I'm going to ask you to come up and sing that song. When will the world be filled with joy, and will people know me? When hearts of hands turn to the children, hearts of the children to their parents, may she live up to our body. Everybody,
Please sit down. I often said I married Jeff to get to my mother-in-law. Audrey and I had a ship. I would say I was her favorite daughter-in-law, and she would say that she was my favorite mother-in-law. I would then add, and you're my last mother-in-law. Last week I told her that not only did I love her as my mother-in-law, I just called, but I really, really liked her. And to which she said, well, why wouldn't you?
we're used to this.
Okay. I'm good. Many times over the years, Audrey would say at her funeral, she had two requests. First, we should not say that she was a good cook. She thought she was, since while Jeff was at home, there were no leftovers. I said, don't worry. I won't say you were a good cook. And second, Audrey did not want us to read a shechayah, a woman of valor. She felt that the sentiments were dated and often sexist. And during those times, I definitely agreed with her. But in reading over that well-known proverb, I don't think there was a more fitting description of Audrey Fendrick Eisenstat Kaufman. So partially because she didn't want me to do it, I'm going in. It begins, a woman of valor who can find. Her husband trusts in her, and so he lacks nothing. Audrey and Wally for 50 years were the definition of partners. Wally chose a beautiful, very young bride to be his support. Wally cherished his Audrey. It was her ease, her humor, and her sense of adventure that led him in his life and in his business to Pepsi. They celebrated their lives with both sets of families. The Eisenstat Fendricks, the nieces and nephews and cousins, and all of the extended people that I'm not even able to name. Together they danced and traveled and built a life in Scranton that was filled with joy and love. They grew together in strength and in sadness for the loss of their parents, their siblings, and their Bruce. What a great model for balance and love between the two of them. Wally was quiet, and Audrey could socialize with anyone. Even if she didn't like you, you wouldn't know. He was her foundation, and she was her life. The proverb continues, the children rise up and bless her. Jeff and Debbie, you blessed your mother every day, with every call, with every visit, and with every soul. I'll read this with you. She taught us, as I'm counting myself, she taught us to love unconditionally, to never give up hope, to get used to anything, to try new adventures, to keep learning, to keep celebrating, to be present with your joy. And just as she taught us all this, as she taught us also to face sad moments. And we in turn, with gentleness and humor and a lot of soup, helped her to be ushered and reunited with her Bruce. The most precious gems were her grandchildren, Jacob and Kristen, Zach and Danielle, Ben and Bianca, Ari and Stephanie, Miriam and Rachel. You filled up her life. She taught you to never stop having fun, to travel in style, to dress in style, to love to learn, and to always put family first. She rejoiced in every achievement that you had. She marveled at all of your talents, and she cheerled through all of your dreams. Macy, Laura, Ella Grace, Hazel, and Story loved their Gigi, Nanny, beyond measure. You will be told, well, they're not here, so you have to tell them, of Audrey's gifts, her quirks and joys that make up your story. Your nanny believed in tzedakah and kindness. She modeled beauty all the days of her life. The proverb goes on to say she is clothed in strength and dignity, and she faces the future cheerfully. With strength and optimism, she moved forward after her beloved Wally died. And she told me that she met a man who took her face in his hands and kissed her. He really kissed her. And this was for Sydney. Sid Kaufman adored Audrey. He made her laugh and filled her days with love and care. How truly wonderful that he brought more children to share into the nanny magic. Barbie and Randy and Deb, you two belong to Audrey. She worried and thrilled over you children. Your Jen, Becca and Mike, and Robbie and Jen. She was your nanny. There was no baseball game or graduation or celebration that was beyond her reach. Nanny wanted to be a part of your lives. Jenna and Allie, Ryan, Avery, and Braden, you all have been blessed to know the nanny squeeze and the nanny kiss. Audrey's 96 and a quarter years. She counted in quarters. We're full of a life well lived. May we always have a little blue around us to remind us of her. May we embrace life as she did. May we never be satisfied with just breakfast and look forward to dinner. May we all learn to embody the message to love and laugh at ourselves and our life. And may her memory and life always continue to inspire us. And let us say. And now, as we get ready for the MLA, I would like to invite Audrey, Nanny, Gigi's, who took credit for the beauty of each of her children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren, whether by blood or marriage or choice. You all belong to her, and she thought you looked just like her. So if you look like Nanny, please rise. And I would like to invite the rest of the congregation to rise as well for the MLA.
El Malirachamim, Yochein Bamaromim, Ametzehi, Menucha, Mechona, Achat Kanfe Hashkina, Mazu Kedoshim Utorim, Kezohar, Haraki Amazirim, Et Nishmat, Sarah, Pat Yaakov, Miriam, Shachar, Yolama, Gane, and Teminufata, Anabal Harachamim, Astireha, Veseter, Nafecha Leolamim, Mutzror, Betzror, Achayim et Nishmata, Adonai hu nachalata, Anuach, Shalom, Hamishkava, Nomar, Amen.
Compassionate God, and from the Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your shelter and presence. Audrey Fendrick Eisenstat, I'm getting there eventually, who has entered into eternity. O God of mercy, let her find refuge in your eternal presence, and let her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is her inheritance. May she rest in peace. And let us say,
Amen.
Amen. We are seated. Just a couple of announcements. For mine and Jeff's 20th anniversary, Audrey bought us 2 cemetery plots in Dalton. Where's Howard? What a gift my mother-in-law was. So for on our 21st anniversary, I said, "No, you didn't get us anything." She said, "Well, you didn't use what I got you last year." And so on that note, we'd like to invite you, if you're going to the cemetery, please follow along as we go up to Dalton for the interment. Following the interment, we will go back to the Hilton on Adams Avenue for the meal of condolence, to which you are all invited. The family will be sitting all day at the Hilton. There's a meal of condolence followed by a mini Shiva service at 5. Because Shabbos is upon us, we will also have dinner there, and followed by a Kabbalat Shabbat singing, because you can't stop them. At this time, I would like to invite anyone, this woman, and Audrey, to please rise and join us in the lobby to help us.
After the casket has been removed from the funeral home, to the cemetery, please go directly to your cars.
Ezri, may Ezri,